This is just a remarkable story that I found over at grid.news, a relatively new news site that I found has some, they do some good deep dive reporting. And I just want to share the first couple paragraphs or pieces of this with you, just straight up, because this is what's going on right now in this conflict between Russia and Ukraine. They write, the headline, by the way, if you go over to grid.news, if you want to follow along or track it down and share it with others, it's titled, Pregnant Posting Then Detained, Russia's Cracking Down on Social Media Amid the Ukraine Invasion. On the morning of February 24th, a woman in Moscow woke up and checked her social media to discover a nightmare became real overnight. Russian shells had rained down across Ukraine, where some of her relatives live. Later that day, the woman, pregnant and already a mother, reposted an activist's encouragement for people in Russia to rally against the war that evening. Quote, "The situation with the war is so serious that I thought there will be some man or woman who will be brave enough, even despite legal restrictions on political assembly, to say the time and place," she told Grid News, end quote. Police came for her 7 hours later. Let me say that again. For posting on Facebook, police came for her 7 hours later. On Friday, the Moscow woman appeared in court, where the court administrators had a printed copy of her Facebook activity. She told them, quote, "There are some historic moments when it's very important to go to the streets and say no, and this was such an historic moment." And she pled guilty, or pleaded guilty. They fined her 20,000 rubles. Now, I suppose the good news is that that would be $200, and it's because the ruble is worth about a penny right now. But that's actually half of the average monthly salary in Russia. So this was a serious hit to her, a big hit to her. And this is happening across the country. On Thursday afternoon, opposition politician Marina Litvinenko posted a video and announcement on Facebook calling for Russians to head to the central square of their cities at 7 p.m. She was detained that evening, questioned about her social media use, and later pleaded guilty to organizing an unauthorized gathering. She was charged 30,000 rubles for this. This is all under Article 20.2, the Russian law that basically outlaws this kind of thing. This is where, in my opinion, and if you think I'm wrong on this, let me know. But this is where I think America would be if Donald Trump was president now. And here's why. Trump explicitly, on multiple occasions, with the support of numerous Republican members of the House and Senate, and a few right-wing commentators, now most of them being part of the media, kind of stayed away from this, but Trump repeatedly said that the libel laws in the United States need to be changed. Now, libel is when you publish a slur against somebody that is not true. I mean, the only defense to libel is the truth. But there's this exception. It goes back to an old Supreme Court case called Times versus Sullivan, New York Times versus Sullivan. And the exception is that you can say whatever you want about a public official or a high-profile person. You can go on Facebook and say that, Thom Hartmann eats kittens. I can go on the air or publish something on Facebook or Twitter or wherever, and essentially say that Ted Cruz is a coward. None of us can sue because of that. This is what Sarah Palin just tried to do. But if the law had been changed the way that Trump wanted it changed, keep in mind, these Russians were not put in prison for posting on Facebook. They were fined a month's salary. Or in the case of the first one, a half a month, the second one about a month's salary. So if Trump had gotten his laws, then if you or I posted something to Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or TikTok or wrote a letter to the local newspaper, or even said something in public that got recorded in some way, or posted something on our own private blog that is accessible to the public, we could be facing huge fines sanctioned by the government. And in fact, you know, if the United States was to adopt a law like Texas's anti-abortion law, individuals could sue on behalf of other people for that sort of thing. And this is how free speech gets crushed in a country. This is absolutely how free speech gets crushed in a country. And I think that one of the reasons that up until the last 48 hours, Republicans pretty much across the board, including the chant, go Putin, go Russia, at the AFPAC conference and the pro-Putin sentiments at CPAC. I think the reason that the Republicans have been so vigorous in their support of Russia is they like the fact that the press is locked down there. They like the fact that average citizens can't speak out. As much as they want to do their trucker convoy to bring down that tyrant Joe Biden, you know, we tolerate that in this country. But if they got the government that they want, they would not be able to do their own protests. Now, I'm guessing that these guys are not all that bright, these right-wingers who are doing their trucker convoys and trying to run Kamala Harris's bus off the road and you know, trying to shut down Washington, D.C. We just had, you know, here in Oregon, we just had a guy prosecuted because a Republican member of Congress let so-called protesters into the state capitol back when, you know, around January 6th time, actually just a little before that. There were rehearsals in state capitals all over the country for how to seize a Capitol building. And it happened here in Oregon. And one of the guys just got a short time, but some time in prison. I mean, short, like a few weeks or maybe a few months, I don't recall, but it was, I remember thinking, whoa, that's very, very little. But he got nailed for it. But the bottom line is that, you know, they're sucking up to these authoritarians because at the end of the day, they really don't want to hear dissenting voices. They really don't want democracy. They don't want an open discussion. They don't want a pluralistic country. And that's absolutely, you know, what is going on. And by the way, after the break, I want to rant a little bit about Joe Manchin lining up with the Republicans to block a woman's right to have an abortion in the United States, which I'll tell you about in a minute. But this is all the same thing. This is all about authoritarianism. It's all about basically white men, now a minority in the United States, asserting the power and privilege that they /we, you know, speaking as a white man, that we still have, and trying to institutionalize it, trying to maintain the institutionalization of it, and trying to stifle anybody who would challenge it. This is exactly what the book bannings and book burnings that are going on, the book burning in Tennessee and the book bans in a dozen states now, are all about. This is exactly what the anti-critical race theory, I mean, you know, it's not, the anti-American hysteria, and now laws with penalties. And those penalties are $10,000 fines, right? Where you can be pursued by vigilantes if you're a teacher in Florida right now. Or at least that's the proposed legislation that passed the Florida House this week, or late last week. This is what they want. They want to turn America into Russia's Putin because they want a big, tough, strong guy at the head of the government who's going to kick the butts of those wimpy liberals who want to pay attention to things like science, and they want to, you know, salute the TV preachers who tell them that this is all God's plan. And you know, Trump is the new King Cyrus who's going to take us to the fabled promised land. This is who they are. And it's a tragedy for democracy in America. And they're spitting in the faces of the millions of Americans who have died for our freedom to speak freely. in our freedom to have the form of government that we want in this country without billionaire oligarchs ripping it away from us.